Morning YouTube. So this video today, it's going to be the SGM Christmas special. So before I shoot off, I will show you my Christmas cards over the years, what I have had done. So they aren't technical, if I'm being honest with you, but the first two aren't, and I'll explain to you why I've had them done in the first place first. So I think if you're of a disposition that customers get enough out of you over the year, then you might not see the point in this, if you get what I mean. I love Christmas, I love everything about it. I think it is the time for giving, so to speak. But I'll explain why I do it in a little bit. But for me, I love everything about Christmas. The cards are a little bit tacky. But I'll explain why they're like that, why they are the way they are. But as I say, I do like Christmas. And if you're thinking, oh, well, I gave them, you know, basically the transaction's complete. As in, you've turned up all year, you've done a job, they've paid you, you don't need to come anymore. Well, there's no harm in that at all. Absolutely no harm at all. I'm not saying you need to do this to make your business better, but I'll explain some of the benefits to my business. So I'll show you the cards, and then I will get on my way driving, and I will show you, I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So that's the first one I did. It is reversed, I'm sorry, but you can see it's all right, you know, is what it is. That is the second design that I did myself. They're all right. Now these you can do on what's called Canva. Canva is, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a Photoshop, maybe. I'm not so if I can use Canva, you can use Canva. I am really bad with technology. I do it all through my iPad. I don't faff about with computers. So, you know, I hate saying it, but if I can do it, you'll be able to do it easy. So they were okay, and the customers liked them. But a friend of mine's a graphic designer, so I actually asked him to do some for me. So that is the first design that he did. So as you can see, it's nice, bright. It's Santa doing the reindeers, getting them all trimmed up, you know. I like it, it's snappy. It's a bit chintzy, but I quite like that. So that is the second design he did. So again, it's Santa Claus and his little well, there's loads of Santas there. They're all tidying up and stuff. Maybe the Santa's me, maybe not. But as you can see, he's busy, he's getting the tree sorted, he's tidying up all the leaves on the floor. Very good. And then that's this year's one. So I wanted one for this year. So that's what he's done for me. So again, it's a little sleigh. How cool. It's the house. It's basically his exterior cleaning. I wanted a card for the exterior cleaning. So I was very, very happy with them. And also what I do as well is every single customer, I always pop a little leaflet in. So I had these done a bit back, and they're just advertising the exterior cleaning business, because sometimes it slips through the cracks. Sometimes you'll say to a customer, you know, about the exterior cleaning, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you did that. Well, yes I do, and they've got a card. And also what I do is I always put a couple of business cards in the envelope as well. So I put a leaflet and a couple of cards. Why do I do that, even if I'm giving it to an existing customer? Well, I think sometimes it's nice for the customers to have a card for you. I've had it before where customers have asked me, because if you're a good gardener, it doesn't matter whether you are in brand new van, brand new kit, you know, or you are, you know, a bloke who's just starting out. If you're a good gardener, people will want to recommend you, because it helps them. It gives them a sense of help, especially if it's for a loved one or a family member. They want to recommend you. So I get quite often people will say, oh, have you got any more cards? Because people ask me and I recommend them. So it does work. So that's my cards. That's like the evolution of them. I'm pretty happy. If it is that you want, it might be a little bit too late, but If you want cards next year, I can, I'll put the link for my friend's little graphic design business. He takes pride in his work, and he's very thorough and he's very diligent. This isn't a plug for him, by the way. I'll be honest with you. I think there's sites where you can put in bids, and people will do it for you and they'll sort it out for you. So, as I said, you don't have to go through. But if you know anybody who's a graphic designer or cartoonist, whatever, just ask them. As I said, this isn't for everybody. And at the same time, there's no harm in just buying a box of 100 cards and just giving them a card out of that. It really isn't any harm. As I said, I don't think it needs to be mandatory at all. I think for me, I think it's good business practice, but that's subjective, So, I started doing this when I first started my gardening business. I wanted to create a sort of a brand, if that's the term. I thought this was, get the logo, get it out there. People keep seeing it. They say every time people see your logo, or your advert, it can take them up to 7 times. Well, the more I get it out there, the better, as I said. But I think it's nice, and it's creating a talking point. You're putting something on somebody's mantelpiece. That's what I'm doing, which I think is bright and snappy. That's why I've deliberately made it a Christmas card, but made it a Christmas card for a gardener. So the hope is that it sits on somebody's mantelpiece and somebody will say, oh, who's that card off? I don't know, Joyce. Oh, it's my gardeners. Well, that's unusual. They can see that it's not been, store-bought or whatever, but it gets them talking, and then they might say, oh, is he good? Yeah, he's good, yeah, he dropped this off to us. Oh, that's good. Oh, I need a bit of work doing. That's how it goes in my head. It might not go like that. They might have already, recommended me beforehand, or they might never recommend because, it might never come up in conversation. But you just don't know at all. So, I've always done it. So what I decided to do at the start of the business was I got the cards done, and I also made the decision to buy everybody a gift. Now I know this isn't the most popular opinion, but every single one of my customers, I get them a sort of a gift. And what I mean by that is, when I first started out, so 4 seasons ago, I bought everybody a box of chocolates, and I got a box of Thorntons, because I always thought, well, if I'm going to get them something, I'll get them something nice. And it was cost me, I think it was about £5 back then. Just got them if they were on offer. And I got 10 boxes, because I only had about 10 customers back then. And what I learned with that is that, one, not everybody likes chocolate. But I will tell you something now, and I don't want this to put you off. There are some people you will give something to, as in you'll go out your way to give them a card, you'll go out the way, to go out and purchase a box of chocolates for them, and absolutely 100% that they do not appreciate it, they don't want it, and more than likely it's going to end up in the bin. And you can tell that if you're observant. I like to think I am quite observant. You can tell that. But I always try and remember, well, actually, the other 9 people really appreciated it. So the year after that, I think I did do the chocolates again, but I was struggling to get all of the same. So I think I ended up getting like 5 or 6 boxes, and I had more customers as well. So I ended up getting some pots of jam, and for being honest with you, this is why I've stuck with jam. The jam has been so much better received. One, it's cheaper, so the cost of a jar of jam for me is about £1.20 to £1.50, and it is so much cheaper for one, and honestly it's much better received. If the customers are getting a jar of homemade jam, they appreciate it so much more than I think the chocolates. As I said, they really did appreciate it. So that's what I did. I think one year I did homemade fudge. I didn't do it last year. I'm going to try and do it again this year, because that went down a storm. People absolutely loved it. And I'll be honest with you, what do I get out of this? Well, it's nice when they say thank you, it's nice, but it's nice when halfway through the season they say, oh, that jam was nice you got, or that fudge was nice you got. It's nice having that sort of thanks. As I said, some people you won't get any, but the vast majority you do. So yeah, I've done fudge this year, I've done dams and gin. I should have had it ready for last year, but it just wasn't ready, so I've got that ready this year. So this year I think I've got 30 or 40 jars of jam, and I've got probably 20 bottles of dams and gin. They're only the small bottles, they're in between like a miniature, they're like a pocket bottle sort of size. I think the cost for the dams and gin is about £3 odd, and I think the cost for the jams is £1.30 to £1.50. The cards, if we're factoring in the fee for my friends, nothing's free nowadays. I think that he charges £60 for a commission, so I think the cards were 40 or 20, I can't remember, from Vistaprint, and I got 50. So you're talking about a couple of quid per card. So basically the most it's going to cost per customer is a £5. Pretty much everybody else is going to be about £3. It's going to be between £3 and £5, and I think that's fair. I can absorb that, I really do. I think for me that's more than that's fine for me. Yes, it adds up quickly, if you're giving out to 40 or 50 customers, but you got to think of what they give you in return. They'll have me there once every 2 weeks for say a £50 visit, you know what I mean? They're paying for that pretty quickly, and it's nice just to give them something. As I say, I don't do it for things in return. I remember one year, and I think I had it last year as well, where I gave him a jar of jam and said, we haven't got you anything, let me just go. I said, no, I said, I don't do this for things in return, it's just to say thank you for being a good customer. It is, but the majority of people see it for what it is, that it's just a gift, that's it. As I said, people do, I don't know if you guys do it, but people, and this is how you can tell, people always give me, I'll get a card off for customers or a box of chocolates. People do give me stuff. I don't encourage it, people do, but there's one thing I always do, and I don't do it in like a meaningful way, but it's not a good test, but it's a good test in a way. I always, if a customer, so if I do anything running over and I don't charge them for it, and they say, well, what do you want for it? So the common one is if I put a bit of weed killer down, I'll either say to the customer, Luke, sort me out a bit of winter work, or put me something in my Christmas card if you're doing a Christmas card. And they say, and I think that's fair. As I say, it's not, I'm not expecting, but I think you can sometimes tell, and I learnt this one year with one customer where I used to do a lot for her, and I used to say to her, just make sure it's winter work, that's all I want. And she was one of the first people to cancel. She was like September, As I said, that's probably a reflection on me, but it did teach me a lot, that did. It's a slippery slope, because if you think too much on it, you'll never, you won't do anything for anybody. But some people, the right people, do as much as you can for them, because they'll do as much as you can for them. I've got customers like that. So as I said, like a few customers, I'll be honest with you, I'll give them a card and I'll give them a few jars of jam, or a couple of bottles of dams and jam, or a few packs of fudge, whatever. Everybody else will probably just get a choice of one. Some people I'll give more to, because they give me plenty of work. They're always nice to me, you know what I mean? You've got to look after the people who look after you. So another thing, if you're going to do it, even with cards, treat everybody the same. Everybody gets a card, everybody gets a pot of jam. If you don't get a pot of jam, they get a choice of, just fudge, dams and gin, whatever. But everybody gets a card. Why? Because I had it when I first started. I gave somebody a card, and I'll be honest with you, it's not fair. It was second year, I forgot about him. It was one of them where it's It's a bloke where I only did like 2 or 3 visits or something, and he just slipped my mind, and he actually made a point of saying it to, and he was, to be fair, he was a grumpy, horrible old person anyway, but he actually made a point of you know, bringing it up and saying, did you miss me off your Christmas list last year? And I just told, I said, look, I said, I'm ever so sorry, but I said, I just forgot. And you know, what else can you do? He says, oh well, you know, Mr. Such and Such, well, he's my brother. I was like, well, I said I did forget. I says, but I says, when I do him this year, and to be fair, I did bits of work, and I did end up taking him. I says to him, because he was moaning about the jam, I says, well, I says, when he next gets some off a lady, I'll bring you some. And I did, but I don't think he really wanted it, to be fair. I think he just was one of them where he just didn't want to miss out or feel like he's been hard done by. And you will get that. That's the worst part. You're doing something for nothing, you're putting yourself out. There'll always be people who will just basically throw it in your face. But it is what it is. So, do I think there's a benefit to my business by doing this? Yes, I do. I've said to you, I put a advert in. I do get work from it. I do get referrals from it. But I tell you another thing that it's bloody good for. Now, I try and drop the cards off a couple of weeks before Christmas, and I tell you what it's good for. It's a bit cheeky, but it's giving you an excuse to be on their property. Not for anything nefarious, but the amount of work, the amount of visits I book in just before Christmas is crazy, because I'm back on the property and I'm like, God, the leaves have dropped, haven't they? Or this needs doing. Now, I won't say this needs doing, but normally the customer will bring it up. Normally the customer will say, oh, that's gone a bit bad there. Oh, well, I've got some time. Would you like me to get it done before Christmas? Oh, will you? Or a customer saying, oh, just watch the leaves. Do you want me to get a visit booked in before Christmas? Will you? So, as I said, sometimes when you ring up, you can do the same thing, but people might think it's a bit, you know, you're touting, but you are touting with the Christmas, but you've got it veiled with something, if you know what I mean. So that's the residential side. The commercial customers, I do treat a little bit different. So suppliers, any business that helps me. So I've got the compost guy, I've got the mulch guy, the plant people. I will always get a drum of sweets. You know, they do normally, I think last year it was free for a tenner, probably more now. But you know, you can get a tin of celebrations or mini Trios. I'd buy them and I'll just drop a tin off to them. Why? Well, you're not doing it for the business owner, and you know, you're not giving it to the MD. It's normally like the businesses I've just named are very small businesses. It's more so for the staff. But it's like the mulch guy, he pulls me out of a rut every time. If I need it, he'll get it there as soon as. You know, so what's that, £4 per person, per business? You know, it's nothing really. And the big commercial contracts that I've got, I've ordered this year, I've ordered like a Cadbury's hamper box sort of thing. You can get a message in it. Cadbury's do it all for you. I think it's like 30-40 quid delivered. And it's not for the owners so much, it's for the staff and the owners. So when you ring up the accounts department, or when Mr. Such and Such from such and such commercial place you ring up for, you've got that rapport. He's like, oh yeah, that's the bloke who bought the chocolate in for us over Christmas. You know, you're just greasing the wheels. That's how I see it. I don't, as I said, it's not for kiss arsing, but it's like £40. But when I look at how much work this, like the commercial ones have given me, it's a drop in the ocean. £40, it really is. So yeah, that's what I do. I set a budget. So this year it's probably going to cost me, I tell you what, I'll work it out. I'm going to say it's going to cost me about 300 quid this year, but I'll work it out and I'll tell you after the Christmas video what it's actually cost me. But I think that it brings more work in than what I spend out on it. So I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to keep doing it. So yeah, let me know if you guys do it. I've seen other people that do it, other businesses. There's a podcast I listen to, and it's I think it's a green industry podcast. I think it's Canadian, and he says that what he does is there's a company. I don't know if it's over here you can do it, but it's a company where you can make your own bottle of wine. I'm guessing you have to buy so many, but he's got a big business and he makes his own wine, his own flavour with his own label on, and that's what he gives to customers, and I think that's pretty cool. Now next year, every year I've had the jam office lady, has been here last year. I think she's like 88 or something. She's she's an elderly lady, so next year might be the thingy. While I'm on the subject of the jam ladies, that's where the fruit goes. So I think I've put videos of me picking fruit. The fruit that I pick goes to them ladies, so they get I get cheap jam basically. I get a few freebies here and there, but the bulk of it I do pay for. But they get a product that they can then sell, and so all the fruit that I pick. So I picked a great big bag of plums, a great big bag of damsons, and that gave them enough fruit to do the jam for the year. And they get other donations of fruit as well. I'm not saying it's all me, but this year she did make a point of telling me actually and saying thank you. The money that they've raised has helped to build a toilet in the third world. So it's helping everybody, it really is. So have a good day guys, as usual, keep on gardening. So let me know what you guys do. Just, as I said, if you do it, you do it. And also, bit of devil's advocate, if you don't do it and you think I'm wrong for doing it, or you've got a counter argument to that, just let me know, really honestly, because it's nice just to have sort of an engaged, like a constructive sort of conversation about it. I know it's not for everybody, but I'm never pushing it where it needs to be for everybody. So have a good day guys, keep on gardening.